Hello students, today's agenda is to check homework. We'll be solving quadratic equations and you will be able to work on 1.3. Today students will be able to solve quadratic equations, and this is just a review because we have seen this in previous lessons. And so to be able to solve these equations, what we're going to be using is the quadratic formula. It's x equals negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And a, b, and c come from quadratic equations. We'll define them in a minute, but I will also like for you to sing this song with me so that you can remember how to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. It says x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. If you sing it over and over, it's going to help you remember it. So again, x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. For number one, I'm going to solve it by factoring, something that we also have seen before, but I'm also going to solve it using the quadratic formula. If you remember, we either use the diamond or you can do it directly in here, right here. But what you do is for multiplication, we're trying to find two factors that give us positive 6, but when we add, it gives us the middle term, and that's only when this one has no coefficient, meaning that the coefficient is a 1. So what are two numbers that multiply equals 6 but added equals 5? Well, it's 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and 2 plus 3 is 5. Once we have that, all you have to do is open your parentheses and just put x plus one of the two factors and x plus the other factor. And this is just to check super fast to make sure that I have, well, FOIL, it says x times x is x squared, but then the outside and inside terms is 3x, inside terms is 2x, and added together gives us the middle term, which is the 5x. And finally, the last terms, 2 times 3 is 6. So yeah, it's correct. Finally, well, for this to be this times this equals 0, well, one of the two factors have to be 0. To make this one 0, x would have to be negative 2, because negative 2 plus 2 is 0, and 0 times whatever you have on the other factor will give you 0. Or if we want this to be 0, then this will need to be negative 3, because negative 3 plus 3 is 0, and 0 times whatever we get in here will be 0. So negative 3 will be the other solution. And so that's how you find the answers, by factoring. But what if we use the formula? X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So x is equals to negative b. What is b? Well, a will always be the coefficient of x squared. What does that mean? Since we don't have anything, that means that a is 1. B will always be with x. In this case, b is 5, and c will always be the constant number, the one that has no variable. So that will be 6. And so negative from the formula, but then b is 5 plus minus the square root of b squared is 5 squared minus 4 times a is 1 times c, which is 6, divided by 2 times a, which is 1. And so that will be negative 5 plus minus the square root of 5 times 5 is 25. 4 times 1 is 4, times 6 is 24. So minus 24 divided by 2 times 1 is 2. Then after that, we get negative 5 plus minus the square root of 25 minus 24 is 1 divided by 2. Negative 5 plus minus the square root of 1 is 1. Some people just leave it like that and it's not. We can get the square root of 1. Okay? Why? Because 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, divided by 2. When we have plus minus, means that first you're going to have the negative 5 plus 1, and whatever you get divided by 2. Then we're going to have negative 5 minus 1, and whatever you get, divide that by 2. So I'm just going to separate it at this moment and do it with the plus first. Okay, so negative 5 plus 1 divided by 2. And that's negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4 divided by 2. And that gives us negative 2. On the other one, we have negative 5. And now with the negative, so negative 5 minus 1. Negative 5 minus 1 divided by 2. Negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6 divided by 2, which is negative 3. Okay, so if you notice negative 2 or negative 3, we get the same answers either by factoring or by using the quadratic equation. But that's only when we can factor. Sometimes you won't be able to factor and you have to, because in here there are not two numbers that multiply equals negative 3, but when you add them equals 5, right? If we try to use the diamond, what two numbers multiply is equals to negative 3, but when you add them equals 5? Not possible. Okay, so that's when you immediately go to the quadratic formula. X is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so that's going to be negative. Let's find what's a, b, and c first. A is 1. B is 5, and C is negative 3. So you have to include the signs of those coefficients as well, and the constant. So x is equals to negative 5 plus or minus the square root of b, 5 squared minus 4 times a times c, which is negative 3. Don't forget the sign. Divided by 2 times a. So negative 5 plus minus the square root of, we simplify these two parts, and so 5 times 5 is 25. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 3 is positive 12. We divide that by 2 times 1, which is 2. Bring down negative 5 plus minus the square root of 25 plus 12 gives us 37 divided by 2. And in here, there is no square root of 37, and we can't simplify it either, so that's all we can do, okay? By having the plus and minus, that's already two answers, but we cannot simplify it anymore. That's how you leave it. For number 3, you cannot find two numbers that multiply equals negative 7, but when you subtract them, actually, would be positive 2. So again, we just go to the x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so a is 1, b is 2, and c is negative 7. And x is equals to negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4. Negative 4 is always part of the formula, okay? Negative 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 7, divided by 2 times a, which is 1, and you can put a dot or you can put a parenthesis. X is equals to -2 plus minus the square root of 2 squared, or 2 times 2 is 4. -4 times 1 is -4. And -4 times -7, negative times negative is positive. 4 times 7 is 28. Divided by 2 times 1 is 2. Bring down the -2, the plus minus. The square root of 4 plus 28 is 32 divided by 2. In here, this is not a perfect square. We cannot simplify it to a whole number. However, we can simplify it because if we factor it, the easiest way, I'm going to do it 2 different ways. The easiest way is to do 2 times 16, and then the 16 is 4 times 4. That's already a pair. That goes, you take one out, and the other one you cross it out. That goes outside of the square root. And the lonely one, so it's only when you have a pair, because that means 4 squared and you're canceling the square. Okay, so 4 goes outside. The lonely one goes inside of the square root. And that's the answer. The other way to do it, 2 times 16, 2 times 8, 2 times 4, and then 2 times 2 is 4. You get 2, get one out, and cross the other one. Get another pair, get one out, and cross the other pair, and then this is the lonely one. Okay? El solito. So in here, you're going to get one out from there, multiply with this other one that you're going to get out. Remember, from each pair, you get one out of the square root. And the lonely one stays inside. And 2 times 2 is 4. Yeah, 2 times 2 is 4, square root of 2. Okay, so whichever way you want to, if you see the pair already from here, you can just immediately simplify that section, or you can continue to do prime factorization all the way. Now we're going to, that's the answer for the square root of 32. So just bring down the rest and substitute square root of 32 with this simplified answer. 4 square root of 2 divided by 2. And then we are going to simplify each part. I call it the pretzel because it looks like a pretzel, and now I want to eat a salty pretzel. And then what this means is that you're going to simplify this part first. So -2 divided by 2 is -1. Bring down the plus minus. And then 4 square root of 2 divided by 2, the only part that divides is the whole number. This, you just bring it down as if it was a variable. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and just bring down the square root of 2. And those are going to be your solutions. And by the way, these solutions are also called roots. That's all for this lesson. If you can please give us a thumbs up, subscribe around here. This is the link for the entire unit, and here you will find the next lesson. Now you're able to do 1.3 and have fun.